Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Lentini and your host for the podcast Different Thinking for Different Times. Happy New Year, 2023. This is Season 5, Episode 1. Maybe this will be the year that we'll start to expand our thinking, our limited, small minded acorn brain thinking, to match that which created an infinite universe. So many people think that they think like God or the divine or the goddess or whatever you want to call the creator, and we don't. Just listen to that little voice. If you don't want to manage it, just listen to it. How about that? Just listen to what that little voice, what Rainier Maria Rilke called the little hooligan, what I call the acorn brain, that small-minded thinking. Listen to what it suggests to you, how many people it makes wrong, how many things you want to rail against in life, whether it's politics or religion or the way the neighbor cuts the grass or maybe you're in traffic. But it's so small-minded, and that became my calling in life after November 18th, 2002, when after 5 days in intensive care, I flatlined. I was on the other side. Where we go? What's next? I call it what's next. In fact, we shouldn't call death death. We should call it what's next. We live in something infinite. And we join back with that consciousness that had no division like we do here. We separate people by sex, sexual preference, political preferences, races, countries, nationalities. And while I was there was none of that. We just want to live in that space, the acorn brain, the lower level thinking that makes everyone else wrong so we can be right. Instead of living our life aligning with values. So what are your values? Are your values making other people wrong because politically they're different, or their sexual preference is different than yours, or their sex is different, making them wrong because they were born male or female, or Democrat or Republican, or black or white or Asian, or we're humans. We're one race. And so why do you think there's so many differences here? Do you think the creator wasted that? If, in fact, this is a school, as so many say, the life school, then we're here to overcome all these things, to overcome our small-minded thinking, to expand our thinking into embracing all the differences, that they're here for a reason, and that what we react to is actually something we haven't embraced within ourselves. The mirror principle. You can Google that. There's plenty of information on it. But here's something I like. Wayne Dyer said that when you squeeze an orange, you get orange juice. When you squeeze a human, you get what we need to work on, what you need to work on. But most people just want to live in what I call the automatic thought that leads to the automatic reaction that says, this isn't right. Again, we want to be right. You think about Monday morning quarterbacking, all of it that goes on, especially in politics, but almost everywhere in the world, even individually. Monday morning quarterbacks are 100% right. Just think of the craziness of that. Even spending time railing about certain, I don't know, sports plays or political events. Well, take this election for the House Speaker. I think dialogue is healthy. It's part of a democracy. I'm not celebrating that some in the other party, in fact, all of them got in line. That's kind of what they do in China or North Korea or Iran or Venezuela or Cuba. Everyone gets in line. And to brag about that instead of having a dialogue and negotiating the stands between different factions of a party, which why I think the two-party system has failed us, that we need more parties. But I'm leaving that for another day. Different thinking for different times is about what I learned by leaving this world temporarily and joining with the next. And I can tell you that if we all experienced that and came back, we wouldn't be so petty. You'd leave behind all small-minded thinking. Now, back in my body, I confess, it's more difficult. But because I got a glimpse, I've made that my job the last 20 years. November 18th last year, it was 20 years. Since that day, that is with me every day like it was 5 seconds ago. Now, I say I wish everyone could experience that. I hope not before the podcast ends. I wish you all a long life. And if you do experience what's next, I hope you do come back because it will change your life. You'll be amazed at just how small-minded your thinking is and that you're not like God, whether you think you have the best religion or not, the best faith or not. It's not at all how the Creator thinks. If, in fact, the life force thinks at all. I think it's all-encompassing, all-embracing, all-loving, all-mercy, all-grace, and it's very hard for us to fathom, very much like the universe itself, the idea of an infinite universe confounds us. That's why we call it infinite, to give it definition. The human mind needs definition. Let me read you something from Ernest Holmes. In actual practice, we must claim our divine company, that the business of life is good, active, happy, and whole. The business of life is good. And you have to make that decision with your free will to make that gift part of your life, that life is good. And look at where you can change your own self and let the path and journey of others go. Their life, their journey is none of your business. In fact, my journey is none of your business. My only job now is my journey. And when I think of what Christ said, that everything works together for good, I think of what Muhammad said, that what reaches us is meant for us, and what misses wasn't. I look now at everything that shows up in my life as this is meant for me, to be with it. So when people knock on my window for money, I give it to them and thank the universe. Thank you for allowing me to serve you. When someone needs a sandwich or a helping hand, or there's a problem to solve, I accept it and embrace it. Some days it's more difficult than others to do that because of my acorn brain. But I just want you to question your answers. Start to question your answers and stretch beyond where you have limits. If you follow anything blindly because you're part of a party or a religion or a sexual preference or a race, that's here for us to overcome. You were given that path, whatever it was, some more difficult than others. But the gift would be overcoming and embracing what you were given as a gift. There wouldn't be amazing things accomplished in this earth if people just gave up on what their journey was. Mahatma Gandhi in India, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Mother Teresa, so many others. We advance individually and together when we align ourselves with values of doing the right thing, not being right, so that we can make so many others wrong. And this is a great time. I love it because we're getting so many examples of how being right and making others wrong doesn't serve us. But you think about that. You have to make choices for yourself. You can email me, you can come on the show, you can challenge me. Remember, I might just ask you, does that sound like small-minded thinking? I'll respect and have a dialogue with anyone who disagrees. That's what we're here to do, is perhaps learn to understand where someone's coming from and then ask them maybe, like, is that small-minded? Is there another option there for you? Is it just that way, your way or the highway? Can we find compromise? Living in a miracle? Can we learn to embrace life as it is? My next book, in fact, is called In Plain Sight. Learn to see what most people miss and embrace life as it is. There's so many gifts from living with nature and in a universe, but in particular on this earth. We're on the biggest spaceship. People talk about traveling in space. We're on the biggest one and we don't have limits. We can travel all over. We're not confined to a 5,000 square foot ship or 10,000 square foot ship, whatever they'll make in the future. We have millions and millions of square miles with all kinds of life forms and the way nature gives us the path, the ways to live with seasons and cycles and seeds. You think seeds were the only things that came here with the instruction to become, say, a tomato or an acorn to become an oak tree? You think we don't have within us, under the right conditions, to become what we were meant to become? But most people deny it. They want to escape life unscathed. They want to escape life unscathed. There's no way to do that unless you want to just punch the clock, get your retirement, and get out of here. I suggest that we live fully, because you don't know when the day will come. I had no inkling that day. 5 days earlier, when the ambulance came for me, I was fine 1 second, and the next second I needed an ambulance. I had no thoughts of that. I was 50 years old. But what I did learn is the power of just living fully in each moment, like Eckhart Tolle says. Live in the now. He says some people think reality is nuts, and that when you fight life, life fights you. Look at what life is trying to give you. It's knocking on your door, trying to wake you up. And the more tumultuous the moment, the greater the gift. At least that's what I experienced. It wasn't wrapped as I would have liked, but it turned out to be the most amazing gift of my life. Any questions, email me, steve@stevelentini.com, steve@stevelentini.com. Glad to have you as a guest. Glad to have you debate my ideas. And remember, I might just ask you, does that sound like small-minded thinking? Thank you.